is already up. He is about ready to give out his plan for the fiscal year 24 budget amendments that he wants to have done. Let's all listen in and see what he has to say here today.
Items that we'll be submitting, and once we talk about that, we'll open up for questions. So, as we know, the revenue picture changes based upon oil. Right now, it's not as high as it was last year, but it's still in fairly good shape when you look at the history of oil prices in Alaska. So we want to talk about, we're going to be talking about things today, for example, Office of Public Advocacy, OPA, and Public Defender agencies that we've amended the budget for about $8.3 million across 2 fiscal years to deal with some of the issues and shortages, and we'll have folks talk to that here in detail in just a moment. With the Department of Health and the Division of Public Assistance, we're also amending the budget for $9 million in the operating budget to increase capacity for eligibility determinations. And additionally, $54 million is included in the capital budget to fully finish the migration of outdated systems that we've been dealing with for decades. That will help with the processes in that department and division. We'll have a conversation about the Alaska Marine Highway System and additional monies that may be coming from the feds and how we'll deal with that here in the state. And then some other amendments that to take note of would be $7.5 million for Department of Public Safety patrol vessel replacement, $10 million, $5 million for each for the Alaska Seafood Marketing Institute, ASME, and Alaska Travel Association, ATIA. $7.5 million for the Alaska Energy Authority on renewable grants. And then there's other monies as well. So what we'd like to start out with is we'd like to have Commissioner Anderson come up and talk a little bit about the ferry system, where we are with the ferry system, and where some of this money is coming from in terms of the feds and how we're going to deal with that. So, Commissioner, if you can come up and highlight some of the budgetary items, funding items on the ferries. Oh, there you are.
Thanks, Governor. Yeah, thank you, Governor. And Ryan Anderson, the Commissioner of the Alaska Department of Transportation and Public Facilities. Back in January, the state of Alaska was awarded $285.6 million in federal discretionary grants from the Federal Transit Administration to support the Marine Highway System. Our team competed nationally for the grants, and we won. We were awarded 6 individual grants requiring varying levels of state match. Of the $285 million, $44 million was awarded to fund the operation of the ferries and to provide service that will be applied to the 2023 budget, and the match for these operating funds is accounted for in our existing operating budget as the way the federal grant rules work. $68.4 million contributes to the replacement of the MV Tustamina. The department will use existing match that was appropriated for this vessel replacement back in 2018, and those are funds from the AMHS Vessel Replacement Fund. $8.6 million would fund the design and plans for a future replacement vessel. Some say to replace the Matanuska, the MV Matanuska. The department will use existing, $2.1 million from the Vessel Replacement Fund is being requested from the legislature to match that $8.6 million federal grant. The remaining $163.7 million would fund an electric ferry, upgrade our dock infrastructure, and modernize our existing vessels. These grants would require $40.9 million of matching funds. And to meet this requirement, the state is proposing to use an innovative federal aid highway tool that allows the state to use existing federal dollars to capture these new federal dollars. The tool by which the state is allowed to do this is called toll match credits. Toll match credits allow certain toll revenues that were reinvested into maintenance and improvement of a toll facility to be applied towards the state matching funds requirement of certain projects. And because the Alaska Marine Highway System is classified as a toll facility, and because the state has reinvested system revenues through the annual overhaul and capital investments, a significant amount of toll credits can be claimed. So in other words, this tool allows the state to use other federal funds in lieu of state funds as match on the $163.7 million of federal funding for the electric ferry and the upgrade of dock infrastructure and dock modernizations, and vessel modernizations, excuse me. So these existing federal funds are proposed to come from the annual ferry boat formula program provided by the Federal Highway Administration And by leveraging the toll match credits, the state will be able to capture a significant increase in federal funding for capital improvements on the Alaska Marine Highway. So our proposal is that $40.9 million of toll credits will be claimed to use the ferryboat funds as matching funds for these grants, and these match funds are being requested from the legislature as federal funds. Also, with this budget amendment, you will see the projects that are going forward as proposed for our highways and aviation system, and you'll continue to see the state's investment in safety, state of good repair and fixing our infrastructure, economic vitality, resiliency, and sustainability. Some of the projects you'll see continuing on those important safety corridors like Knik-Goose Bay Road, Wasilla Fishhook Road, Sterling Highway. We're working on some of the Alaska highway bridges that haven't been upgraded since the World War II era, and as well as a new waysides program where we're going to work to improve our waysides throughout Alaska, both on the operating and the capital investment side. So with that, I will hand it back to the governor. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Commissioner. So next is we're going to be talking about OPA and PDA funding. We know that there's been issues, especially out in rural Alaska, regarding this funding, and so these amendments will take care of, hopefully take care of some of that issue and take pressure off of the system. We understand and we know that there have been backlogs in some of the court cases as a result, stemming all the way back from COVID, when some of these trials were suspended. And then, of course, we've got some personnel and vacancy issues, and just the load itself necessitates additional funding to pick up folks in the advocacy office and public advocacy office and defender agency in order for us to take care of this issue. And so what I'd like to do is first kick this over to James Stinson with the Office of Public Advocacy, and then following James, Sam Shiro, who's online with the Public Defenders Agency, will also comment on this issue as well as the funding that's going into this amended budget. So James, if you can come up, appreciate it.
Thank you, Governor. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is James Stinson. I'm the Director of the Office of Public Advocacy. There's a saying that everyone has a plan until they get hit, and I think, as everyone's aware, PDA and OPA have been taking some hits. We're by no means the only agencies that have been taking hits. Thankfully, however, we live in a state that has a responsive legislature and a responsive governor. I'm very grateful for this funding. What will this increase do? Well, what this will do effectively is allow us to increase the rate that we pay to independent contractors by approximately 20%. That's been a long-running issue for OPA, is attracting private defense attorneys willing to take on these difficult cases for the rate of pay that we offer. This is a solution to that issue. I think that this will go a long way in helping address the case backlog. This will go a long way in finding representation for conflict cases, cases that have multiple layers of conflict that are very difficult to place in-house at the Office of Public Advocacy. I'm not going to say that this is a silver bullet. There's always going to be challenges with staffing and other things, but this is a pathway forward. It's very easy to focus on all of the problems. It's nice to have a solution at hand. So I will just say that, overall, we live in an amazing state, and I think it's in everyone's interest to have a functioning criminal justice system. So I just want to express gratitude on behalf of lawmakers as well as the governor for this additional funding.
Thanks, James. Sam, if you can say a few words and add to the issue with regard to the funding in this amended budget and the issues you've dealt with up there, out in Alaska with regard to the Public Defender's Office.
Yes, thank you, Governor Dunleavy, and good afternoon, everyone. Alaska has long had one of the most robust public defender systems in the country, and I thank the governor and his administration for this tremendous support. The decision to decline new appointments in unclassified and A felony cases in Nome and Bethel is a very difficult one, and due to immediate shortages in staffing, especially for an organization that is full of attorneys and staff committed to public service and to defending the constitutional rights of Alaska. But with the support of the governor and the legislature, the agency can create solutions to long-term staffing shortages. We hope the current position we're in is very temporary and short-term, as we really are just 2 to 3 experienced attorneys away from being able to accept these appointments in the most serious cases in Nome and Bethel. And similar to Mr. Stinson's comments, I think these funds are critical to being able to offer more competitive pay to private attorneys to hopefully take some of these cases in the interim to provide some relief for our already overburdened attorneys. So with that, I just thank the governor and the legislature for this support. Thank you.
Thank you. And just a few other things that we're going to be investing in as well is we're going to be increasing our Medicaid rates with a state match. We're also seeking significant resources to address the SNAP backlog. We have funding for over 100 positions to clear the backlog and prepare for Medicaid recertifications, complete the IT modernization of the system as it impacts the SNAP program, funding for an additional 10 VPSO positions as part of the ongoing public safety priorities that we have. We're now at 68 VPSOs compared to 45 in 2018. Also increasing resources to AEA, the Alaska Energy Authority, to build out our energy projects, especially in rural Alaska. As mentioned, we're going to fund our seafood and tourism marketing approaches with two organizations in order to increase products purchased from Alaska in terms of seafood and marketing our tourism up here in Alaska. And we're also asking for funds for fire suppression, because obviously we have fires in our forest just about every summer. And right now, I think that's it. We'll open up for questions and he'll answer them.
All right, first we have Claire Strempel from KTOO.
Thank you. I have a question about the 100 positions to help clear the backlog with SNAP. It looks from the funding notes that those are temporary and contractual positions, but state workers and their union have said that chronic understaffing is an issue. Why are none of those positions permanent, or am I mistaken?
Do you want to say a few words, Heidi? Acting Commissioner Hedberg will address that. Thank you.
Hi, Claire. So Heidi Hedberg, Commissioner for the Department of Health. So right now it's all hands on deck. And I think that we've talked several times about what caused the backlog issues, which is really our legacy IT systems. And so we're incredibly thankful for the $54 million that's in the capital budget that will deal with our systemic issues. Again, we need to get off of the mainframe and move those SNAP program and the Medicaid program off of the eligibility information system into Aries. So I think that's a big focus area. We know with the modernization of our IT systems and with the additional support with our temporary staff, we're going to always continue to reevaluate, but we believe that our permanent positions are sufficient. So really there's an arc of effort right now, again, to address the backlog and put us into a position so that we can work on the redetermination for Medicaid eligibility that will start on April 1st.
All right, next we have Becky Bower from the Associated Press.
Hi, I think my question is for Ms. Giroux. As of Monday, has the Public Defender Agency been declining those cases? And did I understand you correctly to say that situation would continue until such time the funding is approved by the legislature, the funding proposed by the governor?
Thank you for the question, Sam Giroux. Again, we hope that this reality is very short term. We have not had a new appointment at this level, an unclassified or A felony case yet as of Monday in Bethel or Nome. They will surely come. And at that point, I anticipate we'll need to brief the issue and it will be for the court to decide.
All right, next we have Mark Sabatini with the Juneau Empire. Oh, no question. Next we have James Brooks with the Alaska Beacon. And I'll just reach across the table.
Not sure who this will be going to, but the amount for Public Defender Agency and OPA, do you feel that's enough to avoid any constitutional concerns? And if so, why?
Well, I mean, we hope it is, and if there's issues that arise from a question of more resources, we'll address that. But that's the plan. We believe that the resources we're putting forth in this amended budget will take care of that issue.
And why? Why do you believe that?
Why do I believe that we'll never know when a lawsuit is coming or why a lawsuit's coming. But just in talking with the folks, that work in those areas that these resources that we're providing should take care of the issue. But we will never know, James, if there's going to be a lawsuit until it's filed, but we think it should address it.
And then we have Sean McGuire from the Alaska Beacon. Oh, I'm sorry, Anchorage Daily News.
Did you move?
Not recently. Governor, the budget now contains a $400 million deficit. The permanent fund dividend that you proposed in December is unchanged at $3,900 per person at a cost of $2.5 billion. How do you propose that the legislature should close that deficit?
Well, we're hoping that the legislature moves quickly on our carbon enabling bill so we can see what the interest is worldwide. We understand that even if the bill is passed and the interest is shown, it'll probably take a year to 2 years to really see that funding coming in, that new revenue stream. We do have money in the CBR to be able to take care of some of these issues. But in the end, when the budget comes back to me, it's probably going to look very different than what we see now as a result of amendments. I'll have to make some decisions then for the state of Alaska. So as you know how the budget process works, we introduce it, goes through the deliberation process. There's a final budget that comes my way. If it looks like there are some items that need to be vetoed, we'll exercise that prerogative if we need to. And then the legislature has a final look at it if they wish to override any veto. So it's hard to tell what this budget's going to look like in the end game, but we believe that what we've presented can be covered right now with existing revenues in the CBR. We get the carbon stuff going. We believe that that new revenue stream can address a number of issues going forward. So right now that's the plan.
Okay, we'll move to our online reporters. Up first, we have Iris Samuels, Anchorage Daily News.
Hi, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. This question is probably for the governor, and Mr. O indicated that the question of what happens in Nome and Bethel if there is a felony case that the agency can't take on will be up to the courts. I'm wondering if your administration, Governor, has considered sort of a solution that's more immediate to this problem to make sure that the state can meet its constitutional obligation to offer legal representation to anyone who needs it.
Well, we think this approach that we're taking now with the funding, we want to move as quickly as possible on it, and hopefully that happens. We're in conversations with the system as well as our Attorney General's office. If there's other ideas that can help expedite this, we'll look at that. As long as it's in line with the Constitution and making sure that we're meeting our constitutional obligations. So this is going to be an ongoing discussion to see to what degree this works and how quickly, and if there's anything else that we need to do to address this.
Can I fit in a quick follow-up question?
Quick follow-up.
Just in terms of having an immediate solution, I'm wondering if it was considered putting something in the supplemental budget just to make sure that the problem is addressed as quickly as possible rather than waiting until July, the beginning of the next fiscal year.
Those discussions, once again, I'm sure they're going to be taking place, but we think this approach is the approach that it can work for us at this point. But again, these discussions are ongoing, and if we need to shift things around for an immediate approach, we may end up doing that. But for right now, this is the approach that we're taking.
Next, we have Ian Stewart with Your Alaska Link. He might not be on. Next, we'll go to Jazz.
I'm actually on for him.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Go ahead.
Governor, I was wondering if you could talk about the decision yesterday to remove the 4-year degree requirements for most state jobs. How big of a crisis point is the state looking at and trying to address that issue? And, what efforts can you do to perhaps inspire businesses across the state to follow suit?
Well, private industry is going to have to make their own decisions, and private industry as well as our government and across the country, state governments and industries, nonprofits, they're all facing the same issue. It's a different world post-COVID, and the labor shortage is real, obviously. We've got vacancy rates, and we've got jobs that are open. So we've addressed some of this through increased funding for salaries. We believe that this approach that we're taking here, that we sent out the administrative order yesterday, is going to open up hopefully a larger field of potential applicants, a larger pool. Other states are doing this. Businesses are becoming creative in their own way. And so we'll see how this works, but we think it's going to be helpful for state government, and we know that businesses are taking many different approaches to deal with this as well. And so we're going to continue to look at what type of labor pools are untapped, and then we'll continue to have the discussion if there's other ways that we can make sure that we have operational integrity in the state of Alaska with regard to our divisions, departments, and programs.
Thank you. Next, we have Jazz from KINY. Are you guys on? Okay, well, we're going to move to Jack Barnwell if he's online.
Yes. Governor, can you speak to a bill that you recently introduced, HB 74? How do you think this will benefit the state?
Sorry, can you repeat that just one more time?
HB 74, geothermal resources. How do you think this would benefit the state?
Well, it's a tremendous resource. It's a renewable resource, and we're fortunate that the resources are, in some cases like Cook Inlet, very close to large populated areas. You have resources all the way out the Alaska Peninsula and Aleutian Chain as well. So we're hoping that this is going to attract investment, and we know there are investors looking at the state of Alaska's potential for geothermal energy. And so our goal, as you know, is to lower the cost of energy for in-state for Alaskans as low as we possibly can, so we can make sure the lights turn on, we can attract investment, create jobs, wealth, et cetera. So this is one approach to our energy portfolios, geothermal. We have wind, we have solar, we have oil, we have gas, we have coal, and potential, like I said, nuclear and other. We're an all-in state when it comes to trying to get as much energy in the state as possible. So we just think that there are outfits that are going to want to tap into our vast geothermal resources, and we're in discussions with some of those folks.
Our last question is a reporter in the room, Mark Sabatini, Juneau Empire.
Thanks. I think this is going to be a question for Commissioner Anderson. It has to do with the federal toll credits. I'm wondering, is this something the state has ever done before for any DOT purpose? If not, why not? And if it hasn't been done before, what motivated it now?
Sir, thank you for the question. Ryan Anderson with Commissioner DOT. No, we don't believe that toll credits have been utilized as an innovative finance tool in the past, and so this is the first one, the first time. With the rural ferry program and the opportunities that are coming at us in the future as well as now, with the 5-year emphasis on that program, we're real hopeful that we'll have more opportunities for ferry improvements as the program progresses. And this toll credit match, it's really a program that the Fed Highway Administration incentivizes states to take the earnings, the revenues that they received through tolls on things like the Marine Highway System. This could also be used on highway systems in the lower 48, and invest those back into the system, and they provide this credit. So to us, it's a real advantageous a way to move forward. And so we're looking at new ways and all sorts of different opportunities for innovative financing tools to improve our infrastructure. So we're in the progress. We've been talking to the Federal Highways Administration, and we're going through that whole piece of it. And all of the conversations this is a tool available to states, and other states are doing it. So yeah.
All right, thank you. That's the last for our questions today.
Yeah, and that's it's kind of we're going to wrap this up here. But again, these are amendments we think will help Alaska. They're needed, and we look forward to discussions with the legislature on this. As we mentioned, budgets will morph throughout the next several weeks, and there'll be continual discussion on revenue pieces as well as containing spending limits, you name it. We hope the carbon bills get a play so we can actually see what the interest is worldwide. The information that we get is because of our scale in Alaska that we could be one of the largest components of a carbon credit process in the entire world. And I think this revenue piece that's been untapped, I think, will really help Alaska with a revenue stream for some time to come. How big that will be, and that'll be determined by the negotiations and the discussions. But the sooner we act on it, the sooner we'll know. We're going to continue to work on our energy front, as was mentioned, geothermal, nuclear, wind, offshore wind, onshore wind, solar, you name it. We are looking at everything and anything to lower the cost of energy. It's our goal to try and get energy, especially on the rail belt, and really in rural Alaska, down as far as we possibly can in terms of whether it's 10 cents a kilowatt hour on the rail belt and whether it's cut in half, if not more, out in rural Alaska. We're going to do everything we can to reduce that, as well as looking at food security, looking at growing more food here in the state of Alaska, processing it, et cetera. So there's a lot going on. We'll continue with the press conferences. Right now, we're having great discussions with the legislature, both in the House and the Senate, as well as the majorities and the minorities in both bodies. And so we are anticipating, I think, getting hopefully a lot of things done here in the next several weeks. And I think it bodes well for Alaska. So we'll be back. Thank you. Hey, Ryan.
Thank you all for being here today. It has been greatly appreciated. Make sure you have liked and shared. Just listening to the governor and his proposed amendments to the fiscal budget, increasing what the police force that services our villages, and also increasing the SNAP program for increased food benefits. Talking about renewable energies and wind, solar, and geothermal, and the big elephant in the room, the carbon credit taxes that he wants to impose on all of us. Whether you like it or not, we are paying for places like California, if we are to accept these carbon credits, to pollute as much as they want, and they pay us to not cut down our trees to be called their carbon sink for their pollution. It's just a big scam. It's another way to help lock up Alaska's potential resources that we have out there to be unable to develop up anything. They could lock up ANWR for all we know and completely make it inaccessible. But of course, if you know where ANWR is and you think there's any national forests that we have up there that they're going to be able to lock up as a carbon sink, boy, I got some beachfront property to sell you in Arizona. Been a long time since I got to say that old cliche. All right, on other news, the governor's proposed budget is outright amendments, is nothing more than funneling even more money. He stated it outright, well, we could use the money that we have in the CBR, the Constitutional Budget Reserve, that requires 3/4 of the legislators all to vote yay to be able to tap into that money to spend on these amendments that he brought forward today. He used that as a potential way of revenue to pay for it. I don't know about you, but I am not for that, because the bottom line is that is where they tuck the stuff that they don't want to have passed. And because without following the laws that we currently have, most people won't vote for the CBR anymore. We've seen the House 2 years in a row completely reject it, and we Alaskans got to pay the price for that, watching our PFDs get cut in half this last year. Because of it, a portion of it that was supposed to go for our energy rebate check was cut. These are the type of things that they tuck into the CBR vote to make sure that they keep the special interest well funded, while we Alaskans that would benefit from the stuff that they tuck into that portion of the budget vote will guaranteed not get pushed through. The Mat-Su Valley, they use it also as a way to punish that borough, that district. They use it every single year, as you've seen also the way they aligned within the Senate. The Mat-Su Valley paid the biggest price. We had both Senator Schauer and Senator Hughes Both of them have been completely removed. They're not even a minority. They're just a voice down there that can sit there and whine and cry, but are never going to be able to do anything for us Alaskans. And Senator Meyer's district is in the same shape and out of Anchorage. These folks have all been disenfranchised because these three senators would not agree to be a yes vote for whatever they put into the budget. Now, Rep. David Wilson, on the other hand, or Senator David Wilson, on the other hand, he is feasting at the table, just as he has always said he would do since 2018, and he would rather be feasting at the table than collecting the scraps off to the side. He's making sure the healthcare department out there is being extremely well funded, and all the other special interests in Alaska, because he's once again on the Senate Finance Committee. Amazing how these people that are being elected this year, if you look at the Senate Education Committee, you look at the Senate Finance Committee, you look at the House Finance Committees, and you look at who is in charge of these committees, who is chairing them, and the majority vote that is within those bodies are all on the left-leaning spend our PFD agenda, do not follow the laws that we have. Why do I go through this big, long, lengthy spiel about who is there in Juneau? Well, I'm going to throw another bill out there, HB 22, benefits, defined benefits. That is the bill that is working its way through the House right now. It has just been reassigned to a new committee, so it'll be coming up. We'll have testimony chance again on that bill in the new committee, and they have attached the fiscal note finally to that bill. $277 million to do the defined benefits program. That's $277 million. Where are they going to come up with that money? Nowhere in the bill or in their fiscal note does it say where that money comes from. Nowhere in the fiscal note does it give you any clue what the municipality of, say, Anchorage is going to have to pay in their contributing portion and how much that's going to increase their budgets. Nowhere in that proposed financial disclosure that they gave gives you any clue what it's going to cost, say, the Mat-Su Borough for their portion of the budget. I mean, I know the Mat-Su Borough is somewhere around $400 million in the hole for their benefit packages that they currently are trying to pay for. And now they want to add in another $277 million for the defined benefits package that they currently have proposed in HB 22. $277 million. And unless that is reading incorrectly and that was in the thousands like it said up on the top of the graph, then it was $277,000. But that is not reality. We all know the truth. It's $277 million, and that's just for firefighters and police officers. The Education Committee in the Senate has another bill that they call RIP, R-I-P. That bill itself is just another HB 22 in disguise. It talks about retaining teachers, bringing back retired teachers, allowing them to keep their current benefits being paid to them while they're teaching still. And but it talks about a little bit further into it, it brings in the police and the firefighters and their HB 22 bill that's over in the House, and talking about incorporating the entire NEA of Alaska, every teacher that is there, everybody that is working, all 20,000 of those employees, bringing them into that defined benefits program. Well, you can see easily how I can come up with $277 million as being the increase to the budget. This isn't a negative. This isn't a net zero revenue increase to the budget, and as they are claiming, this is an increase of that dollar amount to the budget. And then you go and add in the Education Committee's bill for student or the base student allocation. That's another $260 million, and they falsely claim it's only $1,000 increase. It's only $1,000. Well, if you have 130,000 students in a school school age kids in the state of Alaska, and it's $1,000 increase, it's only $130 million. But their bill says it's $260 million. Well, you take the defined benefits program, you take the base student allocation, you add those two together, you come up with roughly around $550 million increase to the overall budget, $500 million, and we don't have no increased revenue. As soon as the oil prices drop in the slope again, drop back down, and they will, sooner or later, they'll drop back down again long after Biden has left office, because he's made sure they have skyrocketed and are making record-breaking profits. But as soon as Biden's out of office and we get a more energy-friendly Senate and House down there in Congress, and a president that actually wants to energize Americans and get us back as being the #1 in the nation for everything we do, including production of our security, of our resources, so we are not dependent on foreign countries. So, are you ready for that $500 million increase that they are proposing this year on top of the increases the governor is now talking about? And he's already, you could hear it in his voice when it came to the carbon credits, that it's going to be a year down the road, but they are going to do it to be able to see that revenue coming in the door. They are going to do it. They haven't even heard from all of us Alaskans what we think about allowing places like California to pay for their pollution by locking up Alaskan land as being their carbon sink. And when I say locking it up, they're going to give X amount of dollars for X amount of acreages to be completely locked up for a 99-year stint. That's the proposal that's on the table right at the moment. So if say California buys this as their carbon sink, we'll never be able to develop the resources there. We'll never be able to do anything with the land wherever this is located at for 100 years. How does that benefit Alaskans? We already have enough problems trying to get our resources to the market without the environmentalists and DEC and all the greenies and these far left-leaning organizations out there that want to keep Alaska as their national park, and they don't care how many of us they shove into poverty to keep that going. I mean, the only place they're going to come up with that $500 million from is not the carbon sink like they're claiming. No, that money is going to come directly from our permanent fund dividends. That is the only revenue that they claim they have to be able to use. Now, House Bill 45, this will be my last portion of this entire video, and then I'm going to move on to other news that's going to happen later on tonight. But House Bill 45 was a bill that has been introduced in the House and Ways and Means Committee to allow us Alaskans to be able to donate our permanent fund dividend in increments of $25 all the way up to the entire amount directly to government to spend, because obviously government knows how to spend our money better than we do. I gave them a suggestion that this bill doesn't go far enough. This bill needs to include the repeal of SB 21, the POMV law that they are currently using to subvert the statutory PFD law. Since time for our legislators to put their money where their mouth is, they have told us year after year, 8 long years, that Alaskans are more than willing, all of us Alaskans are more than willing to give up our PFDs to pay for government services. If this bill was to pass, this is a prime opportunity for our legislators to put their money where their mouth is and prove what they have been, the propaganda that they have been spreading for 8 long years is true. This bill would allow these Alaskans that they claim don't want their PFDs, that government knows how to spend it better than we do, this is their chance to donate their entire PFDs. I don't know why we didn't get more people calling in support of this. I mean, 30 minutes of testimony and it was over. I mean, I had expected to have thousands of Alaskans calling in, but, you know, mainstream media, the Alaska News Source, ADN, all Beacon, all these other guys, they didn't bother to advertise that there was public testimony or this bill's even working its way through our legislative branch there. They're keeping it silent because they don't want us Alaskans to be able to have a voice or a say how that money is being spent. These same news organizations I just mentioned there are capitalizing off of our legislators' budgets every single year. Why would they want to hurt their cash cow? Bottom line. So there's 3 different bills, including the budget that the governor just proposed out there: education, defined benefits, saving the PFD, an alternative way to accomplish that. And now I'm moving on to other news. Tonight, Mat-Su School Board is meeting at 6 o'clock at the school board building, the Mat-Su School Board building in Palmer. And that will begin at 6 o'clock with the buses that have been on, bus drivers that have been on strike now for going on 2 weeks. They are going to be there in full force tonight. I'm hoping to be there, but, you know, I work for a living and I did not have it. I had jobs lined up for tonight that people are spending hundreds of dollars for stuff that I had shipped in to be accomplished, and they're not going to pay me that kind of money to reimburse me for the cost of getting those things if I don't fulfill my end of the job. So I'm hoping I can knock that stuff out quickly enough to be able to make it over there and live stream that all to all of you. If not, go to YouTube, Mat-Su School Board, and you will be able to find their YouTube channel and subscribe to it, and you'll get a live notification when they go live. You can always participate that way. But personally, I think every Alaskan, especially if you live in the Mat-Su Valley, needs to be at the school board meeting tonight at 6 o'clock and giving public testimony of what you think of our contractor Durham and the way they have held the parents and the children here in the Mat-Su Valley hostage for their strike. I don't understand why the Mat-Su School Board is not working actively to cancel their contract and sue them for breach of contract, of failure to perform what their duties of the contract that they have agreed to do, making sure our children are taken safely to school and brought home safely from school. If they're having an issue with the Durham, the contracting company these bus drivers work for, they need to be dealing directly with them and making that happen. But making us parents and the children suffer, there are many, many children that are not even being educated right now because they don't have the online learning capabilities in home or the internet connections to be able to do that. All that free services that they once provided is no longer there. It relies upon the parents being able to afford those high-speed internet connections to do online learning, which I don't even think the Mat-Su School Board is providing right now for the children that are not making it to school because of a failed contractor and the contracts they have. So again, 6 o'clock tonight, Mat-Su School Board building. You'll be able to go there and participate. Please sign up, testify. I think that the Durham and the school bus drivers holding our children hostage, they need to be sued. At least the contractor does. I don't blame the bus drivers so much as I do the contractor themselves. They have failed to do anything they have promised to do in when they got the contract, and in my opinion, they underhandedly got the contract taken away from First Student, who had that contract for dang near decades, and they took that away because they didn't fill out some paperwork correctly, but they had been performing and doing the job and never had any complaints about their service. It was all just the way the contract, the filling of paperwork was done that cost them that contract. And it obviously goes to show you that you can't trust. I mean, if you do any research on the Durham company and who they are, they have repetitive complaints everywhere they operate. This is not just unique to the Mat-Su Valley. They are notoriously bad everywhere they go. And I can't believe that they ever got the contract. So again, please go give testimony. Quit holding our children hostage for your negotiations. You are contracted to do a job. Your failure to do the contract means you are in breach of the contract. I don't see why the Mat-Su School Board is not suing Durham right now, has not already filed legal documents for the breach of contract of providing the services they are contracted to do. There is no legal reason why they should not be allowed to do that. They are contracted to make sure our students get to and from school. That is what they are there for. And if they can't fulfill the contract, they become in breach of the contract. Strike or not, failure of the contractor to negotiate with their bus drivers is their own internal problem. Even our school board here in the Mat-Su Valley says they are hands-free from this dispute because they have nothing to do with the dispute. It is all in-house. And but it is us parents, the children that are paying the price. We already are the worst in the nation for providing an education, and Durham is helping to make sure to facilitate us right down that path into failure. They are just one more cog in the wheel that has been blocked up and made sure that that anything we try to do gets stalled that much more longer. And if you've seen also recently, if you don't follow Save Anchorage, please go and follow them on Facebook. They have exposed a document that I saw that is on there the other day, and it was a document that's in-house in the ASD school district that allows a child to change their name, change their gender, provide their own personal telephone numbers, and it allows them to be able to use a different name when it is to be publicly known. In other words, if a parent is to be involved, a public notification or something, they're going to use their real name. But in school, they'll keep that hidden from the parent. And this is our children are signing a contract with the school district down at the bottom where it should say parent's signature, because these children are not legally allowed to be buying into a contract like that because they are minors. That states that them and the principal of the school are the signatories on this. And they also have a line next to the student signature. It says employer or employee. So this is also a way for their school teachers, the employees, to identify as a different name, a different gender, a different whatever they want to while in the classroom, and it is all going to be kept hidden from us, the parents. So if you're not going to the Anchorage School Board meetings that they have, and they are having them right now, showing up to them, you are failing your children, and you are the reason why the school districts in Alaska are becoming worse and worse because of the lack of participation. It is really sad to only see like 6 or 7 people showing up to these meetings, but the left-leaning ones, the ones that are pushing the progressive far left DIE agenda, the DIE agenda rebranded or renamed, that's critical race theory that they're teaching in school, and the books that they have in the school districts. I mean, man, they're worse than the porn that is out there in a lot of ways. For one of the books that was recently just exposed, that's in 2 of the elementary schools and high schools in Anchorage. And I mean, they don't allow Penthouse, Playboy, Hustler. I mean, I could Playgirl. I could keep going right on down the list of all of those. You can't find those books in our public libraries. But here's the ones that are for the community those books are allowed, and they're more graphic than many of the porn, and they're teaching our children to be targets of and being used by the groomers out there, targets of pedophiles, teaching them how to blemish out identifying marks like a birthmark, or maybe you have a tattoo on your body, and be able to doctor your sexy pictures so that you can send them to people. Elementary school, middle school, high school. This is the books that are allowing our children to read and educate them how to be able to produce this stuff. It's okay, they say. And anal is the best. I hope I don't get censored for saying that online. But all I can say is that book was... Okay, I'm done. I'm off my soapbox. You can find this live on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, all at Politadick, and also on Facebook at Politadick Unfiltered, the one uncensored video channel that we have on Facebook. It's never received a nasty ding from Facebook, and it is 100% unflagged and should not be blacklisted, but we know Facebook, and I know my reach. We are being blacklisted by them. We are being shut down. Our reach is not going anywhere. 5,000 plus people that follow us here on Facebook, and we get maybe 100 views on a video. That really tells you how much they're propagating our material out there to the people that follow us and would love to get it. I get messages all the time. I finally saw a post from you. It's been like a year. I thought you had gone away and was no longer here. I'm glad to see you're still doing this. I'm going to make sure to come back to the page more often to make sure that I'm getting notifications from you, because obviously it hasn't been happening. This also can be found on Rumble at rumble.com at Politadick. If you are not a subscriber to Rumble, please become a subscriber for nothing more than to subscribe to my channel at Politadick and click that bell to be notified, or the subscription there, and make sure that you subscribe to us. Soon as we reach 100 followers there, we will be able to live stream directly instead of you having to wait approximately 6 to 12 hours for whatever video we are doing right now to propagate over to them. In addition, you can always find us when we're live on our website at politadick.com. Go to our website right now. I'm sure you'll see I'm live. Our live link is there. Just click on the link that says Politadick Live. It'll take you to the page, and you will be able to watch it on the player there. And while you're there, please, please, please click that support button. All proceeds goes right back into making sure that we can do live videos like this one. Currently, I'm taking time away from my work that I am doing and stopped everything and put it on hold to be able to do this live video to all of you. And it's supporters like you that makes that possible to have happen. Again, please, please, please help us grow. Thank you guys all here today. It is really good to have you all here, and I need to, just one second. Wow, all of a sudden another video started playing there in the background from what I was streaming from, and boy, was it loud. So thank you guys all for being here today, and again, please like, share, click that bell to be notified when we go live. Subscribe to us on YouTube, Rumble, and don't hesitate. Go to our website at politadick.com. Click that support button. Help us make more events just like this one, be able to live stream more things. Again, I'm going to try to be at the Matsu School Board meeting tonight. And Palmer at 6 o'clock. I'm hoping to be there, but no guarantees. I've had parts that are costing about $300 to have shipped in overnighted, and I have obligations for work that I have to go do, and this is other people's money I'm spending, just like the people that I'm trying to cover here live at Politadick. It's our money they're trying to spend, and I feel very responsible when it comes to my money or other people's money, making sure that every penny is accountable for and is well spent, and they get their money's worth by the time I'm through. Thank you guys again for being here today. Again, like and share.